We had a package arrive yesterday from the Boswell Book Company, and this is something that I have been looking forward to getting my hands on for quite a while. I do need it for my research and for a class that I'm teaching, and I'll show you what it is in just a moment. Before that, let me tell you a little bit about Boswell and why we ordered from them. So Boswell's is a long-standing local book company here in Milwaukee. You can actually order through them nationwide, so I'd suggest you go and take a look at their website. And they not only are a bookseller, they're also a place that authors pop in when they're doing signings and tours and talks. I actually was there just last year with a talk with Veronica Roth, who some of you may know from the Divergent series. It's a great place. It's an institution here in Milwaukee. So I needed the book that's hopefully contained in here for the class that I'm teaching for two different institutions, ethics. And this book contains Cicero's great classic work of analysis on friendship, which builds off of Aristotle's discussions of friendship in the Nicomachean and Eudemian ethics and other places, and then incorporates a lot of other wisdom that Cicero has come across and his experiences. And the reason we ordered from Boswell was in part sort of pragmatic. We needed the book sooner than Amazon could get it to us. And then we thought, well, actually, it's a good idea to support our local booksellers, particularly in this time when people can't get in and out of the store. So we ordered it from them, and here it is. Let's see what we've actually got inside here. I hope it is the book. If not, then this will be in the blooper roll, won't it? So we got an invoice, and here we go. Indeed, the Loeb Classical Library on Old Age, on Friendship, which I need, and it's also got another important text in here on divination. And you might say, well, why is this so important? Well, let me show you something. These are my current Cicero stacks of the Loebs. And, I don't have everything that they put out. There's quite a few things that I don't have. But, these are some of the ones that I use in my work, the rhetorical works, De Inventione, De Oratore, and then the paradox, the Stoic paradoxes. And then we have as well his legal, or you could say political theory works on the Republic, on the laws. Then we have all of these things that fit in really importantly in Stoicism, and also his studies of Epicureanism, skepticism, Aristotelianism, on the ends, the Tusculan disputations on duties, on the nature of the gods, and the academics. So adding this to it really helps to round out my library. I don't have everything by Cicero, but I've got quite a bit. And you notice I'm not a big fan of the nice book jackets that they do in fact provide. I prefer not to have those. So this is what this book looks like in mint condition. Many of mine are not quite in mint condition anymore because they get a lot of wear and tear. And this one is going to as well over time. But the other thing I really like about the Loeb is that, as you can see here, it's got the English on one side and then the original language on the other side. The Loeb red copies are all Latin, and the Loeb green copies, which you may have seen me using in some of my videos, for example, on Aristotle or Epictetus, those have the Greek on the facing page. And sometimes they actually have, a critical apparatus, some useful footnotes here and there, some references. And so, the Loebs are really quite nice to have. They are my preferred book to use. There are more scholarly editions, you could say, if you're like really, really high up in classical scholarship, or if you were 30 years ago, you'd look at these as a little bit of cheating because it's got the English translation, right? But for the purposes of what I'm doing, they're just excellent. And if you ever go to like classical conferences, or you go to philosophy or political science conferences where people are talking about ancient philosophy, you'll see these stacked up on tables. So, a little bit more about this particular volume. As I mentioned, on friendship, I'm going to be doing some videos on that, so you can look forward to those. On Friendship is one of the great works dealing with the topic of friendship, love, affection, when we ought to set boundaries, how we ought to treat friends, and Cicero gave a lot of thought to that. But it's also got the, here we go, the Canto Maior de Senectute, the on old age. So that's another great work to have. I might shoot some stuff on it. And we have the On Divination, in which Cicero and his interlocutor, his brother, are discussing whether divination, or trying to figure out what the gods are, knowing and communicating to us, whether that's all nonsense or not, and whether it's possible to know the future. Because if we can know the future, that means that the future is in some way set. So On Divination fits in really well with the much earlier, or the shorter rather, and fragmentary work on fate. And so this is going to give me a lot to work with, and it adds very nicely to my stack of Cicero Loebs. We got our new entry right here at the top, and that's, I think, really enough for me to say about this. So once again, got it from Boswell Books. If you click the Show More on this, I'll include a link to them. You might want to check out what you can get through them, because you'd be supporting a local bookstore here in the Milwaukee area, and they do a lot of really good work in terms of bringing in authors and hosting discussions, and so it's really a fine institution, and they got me the book that I need for the work that I now have to do.